going here. I think if we have Miss Teresa that comes in, we'll just invite her in. Okay. Hello. Good evening. Good evening. You've tuned in to another edition of Women for Progress Radio. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation tonight. Thank you for tuning in. I want to remind our audience, I'm of course Willie Jones, president of Women for Progress, and thanks to our executive producer, Miss Juanita Brown, for pulling together another production for the Women for Progress Radio Network. I want to remind you that you can link to all of our schedule around the network at womenforprogressradio.com. womenforprogressradio.com. There, not only can you see the full schedule of all of our radio shows and podcasts, but you can also, there's a button there, instead of trying to figure out what page is this on Facebook Live, where else can I see it, what other networks like Spreaker and iHeart and Apple Podcasts and Spotify and SoundCloud, all those radio networks we're on, there's one button that you can connect to us on the Facebook Live and one button that will connect you to the radio. Because many of us watch this show on our tablets and our smartphones and our laptops and PCs, so we want you to be able to have access anywhere you go. The best opportunity to get us is to download that Spreaker Radio app. And once you download that on your phone and you search Women for Progress Radio Network, all of our shows will come up. And even if you miss a show, you can go back and listen to that show. You can share it through that particular app if you like. And also you can set it to remind you every single time one of our shows go live, or like today, we had a special edition of Women for Progress Radio, and we want you to go back to our Facebook page at Women for Progress MS, and it's on our Facebook page, on our Spreaker networks and our radio networks too, this same location that I'm talking about. You can go back. Today, we had a powerful, powerful lunch. Conversation with women in trucking, and we talked about non-traditional jobs for women. We had an owner of one of the largest trucking schools in California, California Truck Driving Academy, which has locations all over California. We talked to Miss Donna from Total Transportation, who's been there in trucking over 25 years. She's been a driver. She's now a driver trainer for Total Transportation. We talked to the incredible Shakira Washington, who's one of the top recruiters for one of the largest motor carriers in the country, Swift Transportation. So we had, and of course we had me, who is president of DSE Training Academy, which is a truck driver training school right here on 55 South. And we provide truck driver training and jobs. In our Workforce Development Center, we're doing a lot of things down here. So go back to our Facebook page or either the Spreaker Radio app, and you can check out those shows. It was a powerful conversation and extremely informative. So please go back and check that out. We're going to be having more of those conversations around these opportunities for women. And Ms. Zara, if you can mute yourself, that'd be great. So thank you so much. So make sure right now, download the Spreaker Radio app. Well, wait till after we finish the program, because we're getting ready to talk. So after our program, download the Spreaker Radio app on your phone or tablet so you can get connected with us. Thank you again for being part of this program. I want to introduce the guest that we have today. And standing in, not only she is our Health Matters doctor, but tonight she is standing in as my co-host, Dr. Erica Thompson. Welcome to the show again, Dr. Thompson.
Thank you so much for having me again.
That's what I love about women. You know, we wear many, many, many hats, okay? And we're so very talented. I think we use the term today, transitional skills. So thank you so much for sitting in and being part of the entire show tonight. And then we have Miss Zara, who is our guest tonight, Miss Zara Dotson. She's a college student, and she attends school in Meridian, Mississippi. And she's going to talk to us tonight also about some very interesting topics. So we love to have our young people part of our conversation. So we don't have her face, so I can't see her pretty face. But welcome, Zara, to the show. Okay, hey, how you doing? How you doing? And then we have with us, of course, the new top editor of the Clarion Ledger, Miss Mary Irby Jones. Welcome, Mary, to the program. I think I didn't get your voice. Let me make sure you.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Good. All right, so we have everybody on board. I want to start our conversation tonight with the editor of the Clarion Ledger, because I am very, very excited to always have a African American woman who is the first and trailblazer in her field. She is one of the first African American women who've held this position with the Clarion Ledger as top editor. So I'm excited about that, and pat on the back to you, Mary, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, but I want to share a little bit of her bio for you, because she is a Mississippi a native, and so we're happy about that also. Miss Mary Irby Jones has been named the top editor of 2 Mississippi newspapers, the Clarion Ledger in Jackson and the Hattiesburg American. Irby Jones will begin her new role immediately. Catrice Hardy, USA Today's regional editor for the South, announced Thursday she will replace Sam Hall, who had served as the Clarion Ledger executive director since 2015. Being chosen to lead the state's top newspaper is an honor, she says, that I never dreamed possible for a girl who grew up in a small rural Mississippi town. She becomes the first African American woman to serve in this role at the Clarion Ledger. Irby Jones most recently worked as a digital director for the Clarion Ledger, where she oversaw a regional digital operation for the 8 newsrooms in the Deep South, the newspaper reported. She returned to Gannett in May after 12 years of working in a converged newsroom for Cox Media Ohio in Dayton, Ohio, where she oversaw a 24/7 digital team for 3 Ohio newspapers and WHIO TV and radio. Other roles she performed at Cox including senior editor of the Dayton Daily News and managing editor for WIO TV. She first joined Gannett as a copywriter in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and worked the Clarion Ledger, the Montgomery Advertiser in Montgomery, Alabama, and the Statesman Journal in Salem, Oregon. During her 31-year career, Ms. Jones has led strong local news and investigative coverage for daily newspapers, as well as award-winning business and state government teams. In conversations with Mary, it's clear that under her leadership, she stated, our Mississippi newsrooms will provide the many communities we serve there with authentic, bold, and transformative storytelling. That's what's stated by Ms. Hardy. So she is also a 1984 graduate of Bay Springs High School and a 1988 graduate of the University of Mississippi, as well as a Zeta Phi Beta sorority. So again, welcome, Mary, to our program. We're so glad that you have taken this time to sit with the Women for Progress Radio Network, and we look forward to our conversations tonight. So welcome.
Thank you for having me. It's really a great honor to be selected to have a conversation with you, and I'm very excited about it.
Yes, and I want to jump right in because our hour will go by very, very quickly, and we have some health alerts and conversations we want to have with Dr. Thompson also. So, Mary, I said to you earlier while we were just off the grid, we had a little talk, but from a business standpoint, I've been in business here in the city of Jackson for probably now almost 28 years. And over the years, early on in my business, Clarion Ledger played a huge role for that. It was my main source of advertisement. And then, of course, Clarion Ledger had some major changes years afterwards. They've changed a lot of leadership. Just a lot of structural changes. And I think the big change I think that impacted Clarion Ledger, and we can talk about that too down in the program, is that this whole transfer to digital. A lot of newspapers over the country or print newspapers are being challenged with this. And so I'm very interested about your particular role and what you do, what you're going to be doing. So I want to start first with why did you take, when you were given this invitation to take on such a critical role at Clarion Ledger, what led to your decision to say, yes, I'll do it. I'll go back to Jackson and I'll take on this role, and I think I have something to contribute to it.
Thank you for the question. I will say that it was first I had to make a big decision to come home. I left the Clarion Ledger in 1997 and lived, as you stated in my bio, in a lot of different places. And I had to make that first step last May to actually come home. And that was, I did really put a lot of thought into that because I've been gone for over 20 years. And then once I got back, I realized from the time that I left 20-something years ago until the current state, the newspaper industry has changed tremendously, and so has the Clarion Ledger. It was nothing like what I left. But the thing that struck me before I was given this opportunity, after I came back and worked in the newsroom in the leadership role, was that we weren't covering the community. We lost contact with our community. And so when I had an opportunity to step into this job, and I've been doing this for over 30 years, so it really was a decision about whether I really wanted to work that hard at this point in my career. And I know people can relate to that because I knew that there was a lot of work that needed to be done. And so for me, I just looked around and I looked at the community and I just realized that I just don't think that our staff, I don't think our leadership team, I don't think anybody was really connected to the community. It's really been interesting and quite honestly has been challenging because to me, if we don't know the community and we don't really understand our community, we can't really accurately reflect what's happening. And so for me, that was one of my biggest reasons why I wanted to do this job, is because Mississippi is home for me and I do love Mississippi. And I think that our state is challenged in so many ways. I can name so many things that I think that the newspaper can help. I want to be a partner to our community. That doesn't mean that the newspaper won't write things that people don't like, but our intention is to make the community better ultimately.
So what is your vision for this paper moving forward, and how will you stated yourself that it's a big challenge. You looked at your staff, you looked at the history of Clarion Ledger. I mean, that's a huge task to make Clarion Ledger almost have to make a 90-degree pivot. So what is your vision for this paper, and how do you plan on going about that?
I don't think that we'll ever have the newspaper we had before. Let's just face facts. We are a challenge. We don't, newspapers used to have a huge profit margin, and just like any other business, that's not there. And this is a business ultimately that we run. But I feel like where I can really lean in is trying to create a dialogue with the community. It's something I've done other places. One of the things I want to do, and I was really intent on doing this, and then COVID-19 hit, and it really just put us all in a tailspin. But how can I create a group of people who I can have dialogue with? Because, the staff is not going to be able to do it all on its own. We don't have the ability, sheer size ability to do it, but how can we create a group of people who care about this community? And it doesn't need to be people who agree. It just needs to be people who can have a dialogue in a way that's useful in the end so that we can get the community moving in the right direction. And that's what I'm ultimately looking forward to, is creating a dialogue that really tells our story. And I don't know if, how much we'll talk about this is really, counter-political, but the George Floyd what happened with George Floyd, even within my own company, we're having different conversations about the community. And I'm really glad to see that, because I really feel like this is the time for a newspaper. And as Mississippi's top newspaper, we are in a position to do it. And we have the backing of the company to really talk about all of the underserved communities in Mississippi. What are the job situations like in the community? I grew up here. My family all still live here. And so I know, especially in rural Mississippi, what the challenges are. There aren't jobs. There's no transportation. People can't make a decent living And so what is it that we can do to make Mississippi a place where it's more attractive to businesses that want to move here? What's the job training skills that people need? What's the programs? What's the transportation look like? There's a lot of work to be done. And then what's our education system look like? I grew up really poor. My mother has an 8th grade education. She was a single parent. But the one thing that she was determined is that I was going, and her children were going to finish high school, something she was not allowed to do. And when you had the potential, you were going to college. And so what is that path like for this community? And you know, Mississippi is almost 38% African American. What are we doing about telling our story in this community? And how does the Clarion Ledger help do that? I feel like those are things I'm passionate about. I believe that the staff at the Clarion Ledger are also passionate about that. And so how do we do that? I don't pretend that it's not going to be a challenge. I'm not trying to pretend like it's going to be a magic wand we're going to wave and all of a sudden the Clarion Ledger is going to be some great advocate for the community. But as long as I'm the editor of the paper, we certainly will be making efforts in that direction.
And I like that. You said all the right things, and I liked the idea that you said creating these partnerships and dialogues and trying to help tell stories, do the storytelling, because many of our what we call our neighborhood papers, the Jackson Advocate and Jackson Free Press, have really been in absence of the power that Clarion Ledger once had. These newspapers, local community papers, have stood up and stepped in and filled in the gaps for many of us. So I do, and then I hope too that Clarion Ledger, as they move forward, would look at how can these papers together empower us as a community, because we need voices from everywhere, from all points of view. So I'm hoping that that's something that you all can work out together and say what are some things we can work on together? How can we share to make each of us successful, to be, that asset in our community? And I want to say one other thing from a business standpoint. I tell you, from a business owner myself and others that I talk to, we need papers in order to help us do what we do. We have to be able to create workforces, and we need an affordable way to advertise and to tell our stories out there. So folks, you talked about rural communities and communities where they need workforce opportunity, jobs, high-paying salaries, and all those things. We need opportunities in places where we can place not only our ads, whether it be classified or display ads or whatever they are, but we also need to tell the story about what we're doing, the power that we're doing as a business community to make sure that we empower and impact our economy in the state of Mississippi. But it has to be affordable for us. And even so, more so now, we're dealing with COVID-19. We're moving and trying to do business in a state of crisis. That's many challenges. Now, we know papers got to make money, so we got to pay. As a business, you got to pay for the advertising, but it needs to be affordable to where we can be able to partner with that. And I tell you what, if you partner with businesses and help us from a business community, we can empower you and you can empower us. And down the road, if you need to increase your rates, after everything goes good and we're all rocking and rolling, then hey, we're in a market economy, so we understand that. But I think that's where the opportunity might lay for Clarion Ledger also. How do you build these relationships with businesses to help you do what you need to do, which is to really turn Clarion Ledger around and make it a profitable newspaper? And I think that's where your big pocket is going to be, because we as business owners, we need you. We need you. We want you. But you got to be able to work with us, and it's got to be a mutual good relationship for both of us. So I just want to say that. And Dr. Thompson is shaking her head. Dr. Thompson, what is your thoughts on that?
I fully agree. I think, too, it's really good that I really like the idea that you said you want to tell the stories of the community. I think sometimes those stories get lost. And a lot of people are doing a lot of great things in the community that really benefit a lot of people, and for those who don't have a voice for themselves. And so this will give a platform to those places where people are receiving those supports and those support systems, and it will outline for others where they can go. I also like the idea that you mentioned about, the time in which we're in. It's a great opportunity to chronological history, because we are in the midst of a lot of history moments. And so we have seen just within the last 2 weeks, history in the making, years of trying to get the flag removed, years of now seeing protests from all ages, from the youngest and older people just sharing their stories. We're on the hinge of an election. I mean, this year holds so much, and then put a pandemic in the middle of it. And so something that we had not seen since like smallpox, or, and diseases that we thought we had eradicated. So, and to see the largest country, the ruler of the world, basically struggling to deal with something of this nature, and to be able to tell that story not only from a reporter standpoint but also from a people standpoint, and looking at that over different segments of age, because if you talk to someone who was in their 70s and 80s, they probably never thought they would live to see that flag be removed. And then to see a young person say, "Oh, I knew this would be done," and so there is a whole level in between, and so many stories. And I think it gives Mississippi an opportunity to really put itself on the map, and to really show people the grit that we have as a community and people, and that we are good fertile ground to plant businesses, and we are good fertile ground to build homes, and we are good fertile ground to build, great schools of education, and great stuff come from Mississippi. And I think that the Clarion Ledger is, based on what you said, well positioned to give a new lens to the state of Mississippi. And I'm excited about what you're envisioning, and just glad to hear the story.
And I think that they have given you this opportunity, or have put a African American woman who is capable. When we got women at the table, we bring in everybody. We bring in so many. And so by Clarion Ledger making that statement that says that we want to move forward, and we want to move forward with leadership that brings everybody to the table. That speaks volumes. I'm excited about it. I'm open to it. My ears, my heart, and my mind, and my business is open to it. So we're excited about that opportunity. Now, our hour, as I state, will go by very, very quickly. So I want to hit some of the big points. Because now that, even before COVID-19, we were moving digitally. A lot of people say, "Hey, I don't even pick up the paper anymore. I get my news, through podcasts, or through, I get the Jackson Free Press online, or I get the Jackson Advocate online, or you can get any paper in the world now online, and you can get your news that way." And then I think the other big thing that has impacted the way we receive our news and interact with news is that we have become a society with a very, very short attention span. Somebody sent me an email the other day, somebody that I think very highly of. And when I started strolling down and I seen how long that email, it did not get read. That's one of those Saturday afternoon emails. When I have the time and the attention to be able to devote to it. And I think a lot of people, let's deal with reality. A lot of people are that way, because unfortunately we have gotten to where we are doing too much at one time. And so we're looking for that headline. I specifically, because I know about my attention span, in the morning when I'm getting dressed, Alexa puts on CBS News for me, and I listen to, while I'm getting dressed and putting makeup on, I'm getting my morning news, because that's my trusted source. I trust Gail King and her team to tell me what's going on a national level. Then I have my local people that I listen to in the evening when I get home. So there's a lot of challenges out there for print newspapers. How do you plan? Now, one of the things you come with is all of this wonderful talent and experience around digital. So how do you plan to bring that to Clarion Ledger here in the city of Jackson and also to Hattiesburg American? How does that play in there? What can we look like? What can we expect from Clarion Ledger moving forward around that realm?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And digital, I've seen the transition because I've been in this business so long, from when we first barely had a computer. I think I might have actually started typing on a typewriter. I know that dates me, but it's true. And the transition has just been amazing. In some sense, you could say that digital has been a financial challenge for all media, not just newspapers, but all media has been challenged, because now people can get whatever they want instantaneously. They don't have to wait to get something thrown on their doorstep or wait for the 6 o'clock news. But for us, that is no accident. That's one of the reasons they hired me and gave me this job, is because I've done digital for TV, newspapers, radio stations, and so I understand the digital landscape. One of the things that it has been a challenge for is that our staff, I feel like we're really more focused on, we're not as focused on being urgent on digital as they need to be. Now, we're not trying to be as urgent as some of the other media outlets are, because we, what our value that we bring is in being able to analyze and really dig deep on a story, right? And that's not what you're going to get from some of the other media outlets. But being urgent and giving people the news the way they want it, when they want it, and also understanding what our audience is and making sure that we reach those particular audiences. For me, we have so many opportunities around digital now because people have smartphones. Mm-hmm. And if you think about rural areas of the state, and I would be interested in if there's anyone who's listening, and I've been meaning to do some research on this, of seeing how many people access the news using smartphones, cell phones, basically. So we have the potential to reach a huge audience of people that we're not going to deliver a print product to. And so making sure that our digital product actually reaches the audience and informs people. I remember when I was young and was in high school and wanted to be in the newspaper business, all I ever dreamed about was being able to tell people things that were important to them that they needed to know. And so even though digital has created financial challenges for us, it's also given us a platform through all kinds of like push alerts and newsletters and Facebook and, social media and our own, websites, of being able to give everybody equal access to news. And they wouldn't have that because, we still have a lot of places in this state that don't have adequate adequate broadband, internet services. And so being able to do that, to me, is really important, and more so than any challenges we have. Now, I think part of what we need to learn is what things people really need to know, and where does the newspaper really best serve our audience that way. Like you said, we still are a business, and we still need to write stories that people want to consume, but also how do we get information to people when they need it?
Well, I've been surprised and very excited about the Women for Progress Radio Network, which has now been here in the state of Mississippi for over 10 years. And we have quickly evolved our spread. We get calls from the East Coast. We get calls from New Orleans. We get calls from Alabama. We get calls from Texas of people who are connecting with us. And it's been amazing to be that voice for our community, and specifically around women. But then in the past couple of years, I find that we have this huge male following that we didn't know about, because they're not the ones who call in. But when I'm bumping into them at Walmart or in a meeting, I have sat in so many tables when someone introduces themselves to me and say, I listen to Women for Progress Radio Network. So that stuff is really, really empowering. But we rely heavily on print news like yourself, because when our executive producers and our other team decided about who we want to talk to and who we should be talking to and what information conversations we want to have, papers like Clarion Ledger and Jackson Free Press and Jackson Advocate are all papers that we rely on. We make sure that we stay in tune with them, and we develop a relationship with them. We have a great relationship with Jackson Free Press and that team who does a wonderful job. We love their commitment to our community. And the Jackson Advocate has been just an influence, not only in our community, but with partnerships with us and so many other organizations. They have really been a friend. I like to use that word. And that may be something, too, to think about around Clarion Ledger. When I think of the Jackson Advocate and when I think of Jackson Free Press, I like to use the word friend. That's what they've been to us. And not just to Women for Progress. They've been a friend to our community. They've been a friend to our state. They've been a friend to the business community. And they've relied on us, I think, as a community as much as we rely on them. And I think that's what continuously keeps them thriving. I think we need to support papers, especially women-owned papers and women-led papers, much more. Miss Deanna Tisdale, who's been given the torch at Jackson Advocate, Donna Ladd and her entire crew who leads the leadership over there, and now you who are leading Clarion Ledger. We need to reach out and support every woman-led or woman-owned print or news source that's out there. We need you. We need your voices. And when you're in leadership, we expect to hear your voices. So we're excited about you and the work that you're going to be doing at the Clarion Ledger. Mary, we are here for you. Please call on us. You have an opportunity. We're looking, and we're going to keep our eyes on you, and whatever input you need us to support you, please let us know, because when you call, we're going to answer. And sometimes when you don't call us, we're going to call you. And
that's wonderful. Please do.
Yeah, that's great. Now, what would you like to share? I think the big rock for you, and I think needs to be said in this conversation too, is what do you want to say to the community about Clarion Ledger? What do you want to say? What do you want to express to them? And then what do you need from us to help you be successful at the Clarion Ledger and help Clarion Ledger be successful?
What I really want to see from the community is dialogue. Since I've been a manager, and it's been quite a few years, my guiding principle has always been to be engaged with the community. I've served on boards in different cities I've lived in and organizations, so I'm obviously open to anything that's not a conflict of interest, and I do that because I care about the community. Mm-hmm. I also make it a point to try and call people back. Now, it's just been absolutely crazy here. But I pick my phone up and I talk to people, and I try to respond to emails and try to engage with people, because I believe that if we're not going to talk to the community and listen to people, then we have a problem. Mm-hmm. And I find that is one of our biggest challenges here, is that we're just not connected to the community. And so how can I write about you and the great things you're doing in the community if I don't even know you exist? So, I'm looking for some ways to create, without being inundated, ways for the community to tell us, give us information. I'm willing to come and talk to groups and talk about, or to do Zoom calls, even in this current climate, about how you interact with the Clarion Ledger, how you get your stuff published. We do have resource challenges, but that shouldn't stop us from doing the right thing in the community. You talked earlier about having affordable advertising, and I would say that I don't own that part of the business. That's our advertising department. But I do own the part of the business that gets to decide what stories we write about and what we tell. And it might be that, it's something that the businesses are doing collectively that we can report on. But, I wrote a column Sunday, and you can imagine I got some negative feedback, but I got a lot of great feedback. And one of the things that I wrote in that column that I really mean is that people have this image of Mississippi that's just not true. And so how do we work together in partnership to improve that image? When I decided to come back to Mississippi, I got so many questions from so many well-meaning people who were like, are you sure you want to do that? I'm like, what are you talking about? I grew up there. You need to come to Mississippi. It's beautiful, and there are beautiful people here, and you will love it. But they just have this image, and we're talking about very intelligent people who have this image in their mind that they've gotten from movies and from our story, actually, things that have happened in the past, and they think that every inch of Mississippi is a flag with a Confederate emblem. They have no idea how beautiful people are in Mississippi. They won't go anywhere else and be treated better. Mm-hmm. And so, as my commitment is making sure that we understand what is our community, what are the challenges, and what are the things we need to celebrate in this community, and how do we do that? I know that I have a lot of work to do to get there. I'm reshaping my staff, and I know it's not going to be easy, but that's okay. Nothing has ever been easy for me in my life, so I'm ready for it.
Well, that's wonderful to hear. That's amazing to hear. And thank you so much for sharing your conversation with us today. And if you'd like to continue to sit in, please do, because Dr. Thompson is about to bring her medical health matters. And it always, I tell folks, get you a pencil and paper, because these particular tips and guidelines and education that she brings to the Women for Progress Radio Network every week is life-changing and life-saving during this particular crisis. So, Dr. Thompson, you have the floor.
Well, thank you so much. I have thoroughly enjoyed the conversation, as always, and so glad to see the strides that we're making in all different arenas, and also in the editorial arms and links as well. And we were talking about businesses. And so tonight I really wanted to kind of touch on how businesses are probably doing during this COVID-19. And so that will be stories to be told that we can kind of correlate into tonight's conversation. But what impact are we really going to see post-COVID? And how do we see those businesses still be undergirded and supported during this time so that they still be around, sustain, and thrive? Also understanding that this brings about another economic piece for those businesses, especially with some of our cities adding on the mandates for mask entrance, making sure that the employees are safe, as well as those who will be obtaining services from these businesses, which will bring about another cost for those businesses, but also the extra supplies and things that are needed in order for those businesses to be able to do what they need to do is also another big part of that. So I think, what I wanted to kind of touch on tonight and kind of really share is, as we're interfacing and going through COVID, we're seeing an increase in cases. 2 days ago, we had 957 new cases in the state of Mississippi, wow. 44 new deaths, 648 hospitalizations. So what does that mean for our medical community? What does that mean for our business community? Because what does that mean for every facet of the state and the city? Because in those, there are going to be people who work and are employed, and we add on other pieces to that. How do we make sure that we're interfacing in a safe and manner, but also still able to support our businesses? And so I think this is also very good where Ms. Jones could possibly, share. And as she was talking, I was thinking about this. How can businesses use digital platforms such as newspapers to even outline maybe some of their products? I don't even know if that's a possibility. But as I was kind of listening to you and talking about digital platforms, because there's so many small businesses and businesses who were just possibly opening and starting right before COVID happened. So how do we help to support them through a news media outlet, possibly, and to still let people know that their services are still there and what they do, and understanding that's where it's going to be important for cost effectiveness again. And so as we look to the numbers increasing, what does that mean for businesses? Will we have to go back into a possible shutdown? Will this open up opportunities for Jackson Free Press, a Clarion Ledger, and other news, Jackson Advocate, to be those platforms, even digital, through news outlets? We know we have Facebook and social medias and those, but is there an opportunity for those type of shopper markets? I don't know. I just kind of had that thought as we were talking. But we're going to have to be very creative in our businesses moving forward, because business for a while will look very different because of COVID-19. Also, looking at the supports, and I wanted to kind of, look at how do we sustain businesses during this time and post-COVID, because especially for small minority businesses, who may have not had a lot of revenue on the front end to support. And then when we have the shortfalls of sales or services, how do we support that? And then now you have to have these additional reforms. If your business now needed to add these plastic containers to your cashiers, that's a cost. Somebody has to pay for that. If your business now has to have gloves for all of your employees, so now you need several boxes of gloves, so that's something I really wanted to bring out and just encourage business owners, because this is where collaborations will possibly be very important during COVID and post-COVID, for us to really kind of consider and to really see where resources are. And I know for some smaller businesses, the resources may not be coming in as quickly as you would want them to. Because there are some delays with some of the grant fundings and those kind of things. So how do we work during the interim? So what are some innovative ways to still be safe and still maintain business?
And I want to ask a question. I want to ask you a question too, Dr. Thompson, before we move to Zara. Is that, and one of the things that we're doing here, we of course are limiting the number of people that come into our business by trying to get as much transactions done either through our website or either by phone, or we send them the information by if they need to, let's just say if they want to get enrolled, they can enroll on our website instead of having to come into the building. Now eventually when they start class they have to be here, but that at least limits some people who may not get through the qualifying process, so those folks don't have to be here. But I tell you, it has been a challenge with this thing, keeping our students and staff and make sure they understand that we have a policy that while you're in this building, you have to wear a mask. And it's been a culture change for us as an organization, because even my instructors and my administrative staff, I've had to say to them, and me, as I'm a little claustrophobic, so I have to sit at my desk with my mask on, and I have to set example for them, because if I don't do it, then they're going to say, when I say to them, you got to have a mask on, they're going to say, what do you mean? You walking around this place and you don't have a mask on. So it's a challenge for us as businesses to get that doing. And I've had to tell classes, I've walked in classes and I've seen few people that have their mask off, and I say, okay, the city says that we got to have these masks on. We're going to wear them. If you're outside and, out in the air and out there on the yard, there's a few exceptions there, but you have got to have those masks on this all the time. So it's been a real challenge. And then you talk about cost. Some of the masks that we had initially, we had already in stock, and didn't have to go out and buy. We are transitioning out of those because a lot of our students are saying that it doesn't provide them the breathing room that they need. So now we're going to be I ordered some of the masks that the hospitals are using, the more thinner masks that they can use, and hopefully that will be more comfortable. So and these students are going to be here for 4 weeks. and they're going to have to do this. And so we have this whole education piece around that we have to do, this whole change about how we move around in our offices, and how we're comfortable in our mask every day. That's a big challenge. Are you hearing that, Dr. Thompson? And what are some of the things that you can share with us that would help with those situations?
Yes, those are some of the challenges that a lot of people are sharing about the mask, and making sure that we have to first make sure that they have a proper fitting mask, because I know that there are some that are purchasing, some that are made, but if the mask is too wide for your face and it's not fitting snug, it's still not a secure fit for you. So making sure that the mask does fit properly, and then also making sure that you're wearing it properly. It's not meant, and I demonstrated that one night on the call, it's not meant to be a choker. It's meant to be over your nose and your mouth. I've even seen folks with their mask on the back of their head, and I'm like, this is not the proper way, or underneath their nose, just covering their mouth. And so there also comes into that place of education around the mask, and making sure that it is properly fitted, making sure that they do have one that is comfortable and allows them the ability to feel comfortable and be able to breathe, and to have that level of comfort, because you will be wearing it, and it will be, a new part of our attire for the moment. And so we want to make sure that it fits properly and we're comfortable in it. The other part too is, you mentioned, when you have people who are in certain settings within the business, creating, even within those confines of the business, making sure that there's still physical distancing, making sure that there's still the 6 feet apart, or the actual barriers between, to ensure those safety measures, and also hand sanitation, and just sanitizers, and making sure people are washing their hands. So the masks are just one piece of multiple other pieces that need to be there. But that's where we definitely need to make sure that people are wearing the mask. That is the one barrier that we know will reduce some of those transmissions. And so I think it's very important. We understand that it may be uncomfortable, but for a little bit of uncomfort will increase a lifetime for us. And so we just really want to make sure that and for our families, we also have to think about the others that we're saving in this process.
And when you talk about extra cost too, I know we're here, we had installed a doorbell on our door, so we can make sure that we temperature check everybody who comes immediately when they come through the door, and also look at them, through the glass door to see if they have their mask on. So that has helped. The extra sanitizers that we keep out in our lobby area, that they go wash their hands, they come back out again, they sanitize their hands in the lobby. Even after washing their hands, we want them to sanitize their hands. So all of these particular steps, getting that process going and through. But I can tell also, when our visitors do come in, that have appointments that come in, I think all of those processes they go through, I can see the comfort level on their faces. After they go through these 4 steps, they wash their hands, they disinfect, they make sure, everything is in place, and all that. We ask them the questions, and they take the temperature. So by the time they get through, they really do feel, I can tell on their faces that they feel now, okay, now I feel comfortable about this. And so from a selling standpoint, from a services standpoint, it's as a plus to our organization that we are taking that care. So I think business can at least feel good about that. But Zora, I want to bring you into the conversation, because you're our college student, our young person that is also being challenged. I see a lot of young folks that are not taking this thing seriously. So tell us from your perspective. You're a college student, probably getting back to school. You are moving around with your friends and your families, and we just had a holiday, so that was an exciting time. How have you and your friends and loved ones and people in your community around your age, how are you all dealing with this whole pandemic and crisis?
Well, I don't think a lot of my peers are taking it seriously. People are still having parties, they're still going out. But as far as me, my family and my friends, I only hang around a select group of people, and we haven't really been hanging out recently. Everywhere I go, my mom is like, get your mask, get your sanitizer. So I know that I won't forget, but I still have to even tell my friends sometimes, like don't go to that party. Like, make sure you have your mask on and stuff like that. And then as far as like school, we have no idea. Most of the students at these schools don't know like what the schools are planning, like how they're going to enforce everything. Like, we feel like we should have been told ahead of time. We should not be trying to contact the school. Okay, so how are we going to be able to go to school? Like, am I going to need my mask every day? Like, how are we going to be able to be in our classrooms? And if you stay on campus, like, how are we going to be able to be in our dorms and stuff like that? It's just, we don't really know. But as far as me, I know I have asthma, so
Wow.
I'm taking online courses. I'm social distancing all the way because I need to stay safe. And I have older family members as well, so.
I'm so glad you joined this conversation with us tonight, Zara, because one of the questions I've been wanting to ask is how this COVID and this crisis and pandemic has impacted young people as it relates to how do you envision your future. I know many students that have been, or matter of fact, getting ready to graduate before COVID-19. They probably had a plan in place of what they wanted to do and where they wanted to go and how they wanted to move. And now this kind of rock has been put in the road. And so what is you all's feelings around that? I mean, how are you looking at this COVID-19 crisis? And how do you even look? Do you have a vision beyond the crisis? Are you hopeful? Tell me what you and your friends are talking about around the crisis.
Well, in my case, I'm pretty much the oldest out of all my friends. So my friends are just graduated high school, or some of them are still in high school, whereas I'll be a sophomore in college. I really don't know. I just want to go to, I'm going to school. Hopefully I get my degree and see how the year kind of goes, see the next year, and be like, okay, well, I still have 2 more years of school, so hopefully by the time I graduate, I don't hear the word COVID anymore, and I can be able to go and look for a good job or start the career that I want to start. But I know as far as grades, I think grades was really the downfall for a lot of us, because I mean, some people who really aren't in that situation, it's like, oh, it's easy, some of y'all just got passing grades. But I mean, as far as some of the high schools, they did, but for the colleges, it went from we walking around in campus all day to now it's all your classes online. You have students that aren't great in English or they aren't great in math, whereas me, I can take an English and a history class online, but math, I need my teacher to be able to communicate me. I need my teacher to be able to break stuff down to me. I need to go to a tutor. I need to sit in someone's class. I need, visual. I need that online. And then it was because of COVID, our teachers weren't active. It's like you had teachers that was assigned to maybe 60 students online. So now it's like every teacher is an online teacher now. All of them weren't equipped for this. So it was like you texting your teacher and trying to communicate with them about certain assignments and certain work, and it's just too much for everybody. And then you have students that didn't even have access to Wi-Fi, electronics at home. So it's like, how are we going to be able to graduate? How are we going to get our degree? Am I going to have to repeat a year?
That's good information, Zara. That's really good information, because even as our public school system comes back online, where they're saying that this is going to be a combination of traditional and hybrid, and you talk about what the college graduates are being challenged with. Can you imagine the young kids who are now having to take, and even the teachers that now having to teach online? When we're young, we're always raising our hand. Wait a minute, I don't understand that. Could you repeat that again? Could you show me how to do that again? And a lot of times online, you don't have that opportunity, So I'm glad you're sharing this with us. But I want to ask you one more question, and then I want to say something to you too, because I think many of us needs to begin to have more of these types of conversations with college students and other young people that are graduating college. is what have you decided on what you want to do? What area, industry, or career that you want to go in? Okay, could you like share that with us?
Yes, ma'am. So, bear with me. So, I love to do hair. So, my plan was to go to cosmetology school, and the next year I would take a business class. So, it was like I learn more, I get my license in cosmetology, and I gain some knowledge about business. So if I wanted to open my own business, but all of that would just lead up to what I actually want to do. I actually love to work with kids, so I was taking a class where I was majoring in early childhood education. So I want to work with kids, like I want my own establishment, sort of like the Boys and Girls Club. I want something like that of my own one day. So it's kind of like I have a lot going on.
Yeah, well, that's great. And I'm glad you say you have a lot going on, because in these days, especially as women, we need to have 2 or 3 pathways to what we want to do. And I want to just reach out to you and say to you, find mentors. Call on the Women for Progress organization. Let us connect you with some. We have several women that are in the cosmetology arena that have been owning their businesses and been successful at it. We have many individuals in that do a lot of work around child care and own their own daycare centers, and we have a lot of teachers and educators. But also, I want to invite you to look at those avenues. Go to SCORE Mississippi, which teaches you and shows you and creates that mentorship that takes your ideas and help you create a strategic plan for it. So you have 2 great ideas, and one thing the SCORE does is take that idea and first start with, okay, let's have a plan. Let's make a plan, and you write out that plan, and then, okay, what are the steps that I need to do to accomplish each of these goals? So it helps you to be very strategic on accomplishing your dreams and your goals. And for nothing else, it helps you visualize that dream and also connect the dots. And sometimes when you're looking at that strategic plan, there may be some areas you say, okay, who do I need to call on to help me with this particular area? Who do I need to deal with? Maybe there's somebody I can reach you to talk about how do I look at what kind of financial options do I have out there? What kind of grants that I can apply for? What kind of other funding that can help me get successful with it? How do I connect and create my digital media platform? Who do I need to connect with that? Who can help me with that? And I'll tell you, there's a lot of us women out there that not only we will help you with it, advise you with it, but we'll help with providing some resources for you. So make sure that you are reaching out and you're asking questions, getting connected to the right people. But I'm going to invite you first to go to SCORE. And there's a SCORE probably in every urban city. And I see here that you live in Meridian. So there's a.
I live in Jackson.
Oh, you live in Jackson? Wonderful. Well, I'm gonna connect you to Mr. and Mrs. Michael and Mary Harris, who heads up the SCORE here in Jackson. They will be phenomenal with you, and they're connected to the Entrepreneur Center, which is part of Mississippi Development Authority, which has a lot of resources there for entrepreneurs. So if you have not already, make sure you connect with them. After the show, I'll share the contact information for you, and I'll give you my contact information. But we appreciate and want to support you, and there's so many out there, but never failed to ask for help. And because I tell you, I've been in business for a very, very long period of time, and I'm just now learning how to ask for help, and I do it every day, all the time. And so we want to wish you much success, give you a pat on the back for hanging in there. And I love what you said. When I asked about the COVID and what your thoughts on, you said, I don't know. We just hope that by the time I get ready to do what I need to do, that COVID won't be around. So I appreciate your honesty. We really appreciate that, and we appreciate you sharing us, because your information and your dialogue and your experiences are very important to us. So thank you so much. And I hope our executive producer will allow you to come back for more conversation with us, okay? All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zara, for coming in, being part of the show. Thank you, Mary, the new top editor of the Clarion Ledger newspaper. Thank you so very, very much for joining us tonight and staying with us. And Dr. Thompson is always amazing. You bring so much information and dialogue to Women for Progress. And thank you for being part of this organization also now. And we really appreciate your support of this. You have taken our Health Matters to a whole new level. So thank you so much. Thanks, our executive producer, again, Ms. Juanita Brown, for bringing this conversation together and coordinating everything for us, and all of her support over the 10 years. You know, Ms. Juanita Brown has been our executive producer for 10 years. And she is so patient. And she's been very, very patient with us hosts. And she tolerates our ideas. And she listens to us, and then she brings it together. And she is the true essence of commitment. I think when we look up that word commitment in the dictionary, Miss Juanita Brown, Miss Juanita Stewart Brown name is in parentheses next to commitment. And we appreciate all her work and her dedication to this particular network and to its growth and development. So pat on the back, Miss Brown, if you're listening to us. Thank you so much. So you've been tuned in to the Women for Progress radio show, which is every Thursday right here at 5:30. For all of the schedule of all of our programming around our network, I want to remind you again to go to womenforprogressradio.com, womenforprogressradio.com. And if you want to connect to the work of this organization, we are a community service organization that's been around for 43 years in 2020. So go to our website at womenforprogress.net and connect with us, email us, give us a call, connect with our work. We love to partner you, whether you have an organization or you are an individual who are committed to community service. If you are currently now want to know how can you be a bigger influence, a bigger catalyst in your community, reach out to us. We would love to link hands with you, provide your talents and your resources and your time to this organization into our community. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next Thursday at the same time at 5:30. Have a great day.